Right, we'll be starting in a couple of minutes. David, are you back in Florida?
I'm back in Sarasota. How are you?
Good, how you doing? Sorry, I didn't get a chance to reply to your text. That was nice.
Oh, no problem. You're all good. It was a great time. Thank you for everything.
You're very welcome. I'm gonna give people a moment to get on before I get started, so. All right, anybody on the call want me to get your coffee? Just kidding. Today's mastermind was inspired by our speaker, our team leader speaker, Julie, talking about how she segments her business for her team. And I think it's relevant not only for teams, but it's also relevant for individual agents to have that same mindset. And I see you, David, right in front of me. Do you remember a couple of the divisions that she had?
Yeah. So Julie talked about the divorce division. I like that one. Definitely, at figuring out how to position one of your agents on one side and the one on the other. That was interesting. What else? Division for, she has a commercial agent that just focuses on commercial. She has luxury, waterfront. I mean, she has a division for everything. But yeah, she's very inspirational.
She had equestrian. She was just starting in equestrian. And then the one that also I really liked was the urban versus suburban.
Urban to suburban.
Yeah.
He had an investment division, which was similar to what I was talking about, buying residential character homes for investments. It's kind of like investments for the non-investor. I don't know that she had an estate team, but that would be one that could be a division that we could use. Another one that I think was really relevant in today's market was, did she call it renovate or relocate? Was that the terminology she used?
It was a similar term, but it was something else.
So, move or improve it was, right?
Yes.
That was it.
That's much better than renovator. But renovate or relocates, catchy as well, I think. So she had a luxury division, equestrian, move or improve, or urban to suburban, divorce. I think an estate is one of the ones that our teams utilize. And I'm going to ask the group, what percentage of homes in the US do you think have no mortgage at all? I hear 20% here in person.
30. You want a wild
30%.
guess?
Wild guess.
I would say less than 10.
I would say 30%.
30%. Okay. And I'm going to give you the answer according to
Less than 10.
No, the answer is 23% according to a couple of different sources. And what percentage of homes have 50% or more equity? Guesses?
I'd say
35%, 40%.
Yeah, I would say
35,
35.
40,
30.
30.
I would think it's closer to 50 now.
44,
Really?
44. We have a smart group. It's 44.9. Now I'm going to throw a third question, which I don't have an answer to. I don't know that there's a way to look it up, but I would say of people that have been in their home for more than 15 years or more than 10 years that are likely to move, my guess would be that the percentage without a mortgage is probably going to be 50% or more. And if you don't have a mortgage, does that really impact you when you make a move to another house?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, it gives you a cash advantage.
Well, right, but the interest rates don't make it. So yes, it gives you a cash advantage when you're making an offer, but does it impact us what the mortgage rate is when we move, which is a big objection, right? I'm not going to move because the interest rates are higher.
It will if you're not going to upsize.
Well, yeah, if you're paying cash, it doesn't matter, and you're downsizing,
Yep.
or even if you're moving to another area where there's a lower price point.
Yep.
So no, mortgage doesn't mean anything.
So I think one of the things that we overlook is we put obstacles in the way of ourselves, right? Because we're like, oh, nobody's going to move now, Amy, because the rates are higher and they probably have a 2% loan. Like that that's true in a lot of cases, and we do hear that a lot. But there's a segment out there that doesn't apply at all. Right? And sometimes we go there and maybe we have that as a negative mindset, is something that's in our subconscious when we're out there talking to potential home sellers. And I'm going to guess, Colleen, that in Florida in general, the percentage of homes that have no mortgage has to be at least 10% greater than the rest of the country.
I would agree.
David, would you agree with your experience?
Yep.
Ron?
Yes, sir.
And I would say, in New Jersey and Florida, our target audience is going to have a bias towards lower or no mortgages in terms of building up, inventory to sell. They've been in the house longer, so by definition, they should have, less, they should have a lower balance. And one good thing that's different from 2006 to 8, a significant difference between 2006 and 8. What would be some things that would be positive for us on the sale, on the getting more listing side? Anybody?
Controlling the market.
The
Does anybody,
investors,
does anybody remember 2006 to 8? What were all homeowners using their house as?
ATMs,
2006, 2008.
You said ATM, right, Robert?
yes.
They were using their house as an ATM. They were getting a second mortgage. They were getting a bigger second mortgage. They were refinancing, taking cash out because lenders and Wall Street was saying, "Hey, we want to lend you money. Just here, we're dangling, opportunity in front of you. You don't have a job, no problem. You don't have credit, no problem. We're gonna just give you the money anyway." Now, I don't know many people who've used their house as a piggy bank. Does anybody know more than 10% of their clients that have used their home as a piggy bank, even though equity has improved? So there's a positive for us in the marketplace, and building some divisions that are consistent with some of these some of the trends that we're seeing, I think are going to be very, very helpful. Are there any other divisions that you can think of that we can use, or any pillars? Without it being a team, I used to call it pillars of your business. So are there any pillars?
Maybe we could do, maybe we could think in terms of a downsizing, less maintenance. In Florida, there's a lot of communities where the maintenance of the home is included. I mean, you can still have a small home, but the roof is taken care of, the painting is taken care of, the landscaping is taken care of. A lot of people don't have that responsibility or that cost anymore. When they have a larger home, they're handling the landscaping, the repairs to the roof, the painting of the house, the general upkeep that's handled by the associations.
How about like active adult or condos?
I like active adults because not everybody is going to go into a condo. Like I said, there's a lot of villas, townhouses, developments. So I think active adult, maybe.
So, there's somebody on this call is going to name this trend, but in Southeast Florida, and sorry, David, I'm just on the East Coast now. Where do people move when they have families and kids in school? Are they on the coast, or do they move inland? Who wants to take a stab at that?
they're west.
Move on the west side.
All right, so it's unanimous. They go west, and then when they're empty nesters, what do they want to do?
They go east.
Go east.
They want to move east by the shoreline. So we need to come up with, in the next 50 minutes or 48 minutes, we need to come up with a division that's taking people from the west to east, from the suburbs to the coast. What's a good
The empty
catchy name.
nester division.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, empty nester, that's good, but I think, it's like the burbs to the coast maybe, right?
Well, didn't she have the urban
Yeah.
and suburban?
Yeah, urban to suburban, but this is really suburban to urban,
Yeah.
right? It's suburban to the coast.
I've had a lot of
Maybe
people
the
from,
lifestyle division?
Um,
I like
So I've
this.
seen people move out east and then move back west again, only because the amenities aren't as great. The
So,
social is not as great.
And then I've also seen people move east temporarily and then move south.
okay,
I like the thought process where you're going though, Rob. I see where you're going directionally. You're trying to create, right? A separate value advantage. So if we called it, for those that are looking for an active community in a certain, by the coastline, these are the places we would go. I see what you're trying to gear towards.
The
mhm.
lifestyle division?
Somewhere in between, there would need
Mm.
to be like a relocate division, Colleen, because you're helping them transition.
Right.
So I think we need to have somebody win a prize for branding this, because I think there's a need for it. And I think branding is always something that makes it easier to communicate that opportunity.
How
Oh.
about transition division?
Transition division.
Transition division.
I mean, it's very applicable, but I don't know how catchy it is.
Yes.
all of my clients that moved from west to east, like in Boca and Del Rey over the years, were typically after they got a divorce, and one of them wanted a condo on the intercoastal or the ocean. And I don't know if it was Dan who said, but a lot of them actually moved back because their tennis club with the girls is in West Del Rey or Boca or Boynton, and East was exciting for a couple of years. They could be closer to Meisner or downtown, the strip in Del Rey, but end up going back. I don't know if they're kind of name what that would be.
What did you want to name? Going from
Hey,
east-
Rob, Joe D.
Yeah.
I'm here with
Hey, Joe.
Stacy. I got an
Hey, Steve,
idea.
how are you?
Hi.
How about the next chapter division? Next
Next
chapter in your
chapter.
life.
I
Oh,
love
like
that.
that.
I love that.
I like it too.
How about the trees to the seas?
Oh, I like that too.
I love that. Trees.
Great, that's great.
I love that one
Who,
also.
who said that
How
one?
about
Who had
Jody Latour?
Ooh.
Jody. I think
Trees.
that's,
trees.
How about-
Love it.
How about my time?
My time sounds like the dating site, our time.
Yeah.
This is the- That's from north to south, it's from the leaves, from the leaves to the. Yeah.
so, and here's one other statistic, which, probably is not, I was just calculating it off of a chart I was looking up, is 40% of the open mortgages are north of 4%. And 20% of the open mortgages are above 5%. So if somebody's going from 5 and Bruce, is Bruce on? Bruce Oliver, are you on?
No, it's not.
Do we have any lenders on? Matt, what's your 30-year fixed rate for like a AAA borrower, 20% down now?
Now it's probably high sixes.
High sixes? So going from, 5 to high sixes is annoying, but it's not, I don't think it's gonna change your decision if you wanna move to a different area. It's now coming within that range where it's manageable. And people who are thinking of moving, right, 2 and 3 years ago, probably avoided refinancing because they were thinking about moving. And, we need to find a way to reach out and service those people. So I don't know, maybe, list building of people over 5% mortgages might even be something to explore, looking at people with no mortgages and educating them on how that means absolutely nothing to them, what's impacting everybody else, right? If everybody else is impacted by the interest rate, it doesn't matter to you. Here's an opportunity for you to still cash in at the high prices and to move to where you want to be. And there's nobody is for certain about what's going to happen to the future, but I think inevitably housing prices have to, with the mortgage rates going up, have to, level off or come down at least minimally, right? So if somebody is looking to downsize, if they sell their house now and, buy something new, they're going to have a bit of an advantage in a couple of aspects. Don't want to claim it's doomsday for home prices, but I do think we're probably going to moderate a little bit.
Mark, you
National,
really think so? I mean, in Florida, the supply and demand is so rough. Where prices are going up. We're having lines again for open houses, bidding over. I just got under contract for 10,000 cash over with appraisal gap. I think that as the rates go down, the flood of people are going to be coming out to buy again. And there's just not enough homes for sale. Until the amount of homes for sale goes up, the prices are going to go up.
New construction here has already had 2 price increases. Lotus Palm and Boca Raton. And people are still buying them left and right.
So I was doing, I do a lot of, useless research, but I was finding out the Florida insurance market's getting, one of the components that's hammering it is the cost to repair homes is up 30+% in the past 2 years, when inflation is something about like 16 or 14%. So it's tracking double the rate of inflation, the home repair costs. I also had heard, and I don't know if this was from, David, you had mentioned this, or somebody from Florida had mentioned this to me. Actually, 2 people in our Florida group said that there are subdivisions of homes that are being completed, and there's between 200 and 500 construction jobs being eliminated from these 2 builders, that they were kind of pulling back a little bit. Was that you, David, who mentioned that, or anybody on the call?
I mentioned it to you. There's 2 buildings in Florida being
Okay,
built.
that's Paul, right?
Yeah. And the builder said that as soon as he's done with this project, there's gonna be about 400 people that are gonna be unemployed.
400 construction people.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes in the face of what we're saying with Scott and the multiple offers, and perhaps the tipping point for balancing the buyers and the sellers will be when the investors capitulate and start to be net sellers instead of net buyers in the marketplace.
Rob, I just wanted to bring something up that I don't know how relevant it is, but one of the issues that we have here, when you're talking about these people that have so much equity in their home and investing in their future move, it's something, if they were to buy something now in Florida and even rent it out, they could avoid the exit tax here in New Jersey, if you own something for so many years. So if they're not really ready to sell the house up here, but want to do an investment for their future, maybe it's something that would be catchy and interesting for some people. Because in New Jersey, you pay a a nice exit tax if you don't already, when you leave the state, if you don't already own the property you're going to. Just a thought.
No, I mean, that's excellent. And Fran, that kind of brings to mind, I think a lot of New Jersey homeowners who are our candidates to be selling, they don't know where they would move. Anybody here, talk to a potential home seller and they're like not sure where they would go? Like, would I go to the Carolinas? Would I go to Florida? Would I go to South Jersey? Like, where would I go?
Yes.
Are we?
Absolutely.
And a lot of the people in Florida who want to move, or South Florida specifically, want to move north because they can't get what they want here anymore because the prices have gone so high. So they want to relocate to northern Florida, or like you said, the Carolinas or Georgia, and they're not sure where they want to go. But I think
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that lately. A lot of buyers can't find anything in South Florida. You have to go to North Florida, Boynton Beach, and further north. I see a lot of rental complexes being built. So a lot of buyers, what happens is they can't find the house, or the house is too expensive. They're winding up renting for a while to see if prices come down. We've been talking to a lot of the buyers, and the buyers are just saying, there's nothing out there we can afford. So they're resorting to a lot of the rental complex. A huge amount of rental complexes going up here in South Florida.
So
I'm meeting with the buyer today that's coming over from Miami Beach, that's sitting on a ton of equity in a condo and has since been building his family. And this is where they can afford to buy a home on the West Coast. There's a number of areas north and south of me where they can have a beautiful brand new construction and give their family their own pool and amazing amenities and leave a smaller condo, because they're going to give up the South Beach location with the view for property with amenities and, more square footage.
And Rob, to the point before, and like what Ron was just saying, we are experiencing an extreme amount of people that have to get rentals because there's not enough homes for sale and they can't get in the home. So, and this has been going on for 2 years now, since COVID took off and real estate, went with it. We're having a huge influx of buyers on the sidelines. So as the rates go down, and I forgot who I was having this conversation with, that, we've been bouncing the word recession for a while now, and kind of we all see the writing on the wall. And yes, as jobs are going to be, people get let go. We just heard 400 more. A lot of these businesses every month are letting people go. It's inevitable that we do slide into an actual recession. But at that point, they're going to want to stimulate the economy. And we all know that when they want to stimulate the economy, they make sure that the rates go down. And when the rates go down, all these people, and I mean, we're probably like at a 3x right now of people who want to buy, but can't afford to buy. And they're all going to come out of the woodwork. And at that time, if people decide to list again, that might level it off. But right now, I'll give you an example. Today, Broward County alone, and I only look at like my center hub of Broward County, 150 new listings in the last 24 hours. That includes 55 and over, condos, mobile homes, single family homes. That's every listing, 150. And it used to be before COVID,
did you say 150 or 50?
150, but that's high. We've been averaging 120, 130. Sometimes on Sundays, when realtors don't like to work, I come in on a Monday morning before they've entered them, and I'm looking at like 50 and 60 homes. So the average before COVID, we would get 220, 230, 250 per day back in 2019. And now we're lucky to hit a number today of 150. And again, that's with condos. And for those that don't know, Florida condos, you need 25% down for the most part. And our association fees practically doubled since the assessments have gone on. So, the condo market's a little bit softer, and even that's selling. Our days on, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I've been telling the agents in my classes to start getting real familiar with St. Lucie County, and get more familiar with anything that's north of here. Because what's going to happen is that they can afford a house in northern Florida, and they're going to have to commute into the Fort Lauderdale or into the Coral Springs, Parkland area, and further south. So I think that's probably going to be the trend, I think, in the next couple of years until things start to get leveling off on the home prices.
So what are we seeing our competition, or what are we mailing out to get new inventory? Like what type of material are we sending out?
We're just, I'm telling my agents, get on the phone, start talking to FSBOs and cold calling to find listings, because mailing does work, but mailing doesn't matter unless you call after you mail. So if you're mailing to a community or a farm area, if you mail them, say 800 postcards, you got to call a week later and let everybody know, did you receive my postcard?
I agree with that, like 2000%. But I want to ask, like, what do our competitors and what are we trained as an industry to send out in terms of mailings? Now, what do you see people send to your house?
People are nosy. They want to know what their neighbor's house sold for.
So everybody,
Postcards.
they're sending out comps.
Postcards.
It just sold, just listed, but
Yeah.
I have some agents sending out postcards that say, if your dreams could come true, where would you like to live?
But everybody else wants to
So
know.
I'm trying to stimulate people into thinking about moving to other areas, or maybe moving north, or maybe moving east.
I mean, if somebody put out a postcard, maybe where do people from Westfield move, right? And it showed, where the majority of people from Westfield moved, or even if it was just an informal study of, hey, where are the people from Westfield moving? Years ago, people from Westfield used to move to Mountainside. I don't think that's happening anymore, right? People from Westfield move out. Some people from Westfield that I'm familiar with that sold have actually moved to their homes down in Monmouth County, their second homes. And now that's their primary.
I think, Rob, for us, for one side, for Broward County, it's different. For Palm Beach County, I think Lynn and whomever's on the call that knows that area, the only postcards we receive habitually in Delray, Wellington, and those areas are the realtors advertising. They're doing self-advertisement, 1.5% listing, and it's in our mailboxes every Tuesdays and Thursdays religiously. They promote.
How about this for an idea, and don't shoot the messenger if it's a really dumb idea, but and I'm thinking about how David looks at his business. What if you went to contacts at Remax in South Carolina, North Carolina, places where people are moving to, and you did a mailing to an area and said, no, or you said, hey, if you're thinking about moving to South Carolina, and they maybe listed some of the benefits to people moving to South Carolina, and you use that as a mailing piece, and maybe even split the cost with the broker in South Carolina. You're looking for a listing, they're looking to attract a buyer there.
I like that idea. It's very creative.
David, what are your thoughts?
So I'm going to be with a number of colleagues from North Carolina, South Carolina next week in New Orleans, and we're going to do a dinner, and it's definitely something I can bring up. I mean, I've been sending people. I think we were just talking about the halfbacks. I've been sending people to all parts of North and South Carolina. I have my stepson here with me from Georgetown, South Carolina right now. We were just talking about buying another property up there by him. I have some great relationships with them, with the agents up there. I was on a call yesterday with the woman Roz who sells Myrtle Beach, and she was just mentioning that she might want something down here. And I said, well, I was just talking, there's got to be a way to collaborate. So, I mean, I'm definitely open to this.
And, interestingly enough, this is very odd, but when we hosted some of our team leaders here in New Jersey, they're like, wow, the weather's really nice here. Like, we never hear that.
Yes.
Because they didn't sweat walking from the car to the meeting. So
Maybe your forecast.
Yeah, our
exactly.
humidity is definitely higher.
And here's another opportunity I see. And Paul, are you still on?
I'm still on.
So, one of, Paul's, associates or affiliates in the business, he said that he just sold his property in Southeast Florida.
Mhm.
And, the property, did he say it was a $40 million assessment for 600 units?
For 600 units, yeah.
So that was like a $60-some thousand assessment per unit. Now, during the next couple of years, I think it's probably going to be challenging to sell that property. And I'm not even sure after the assessment is done, if there's going to be any, additional value created from fixing the property up. I think probably a lot of it is going to be like structural work that you're not even going to see, right?
Yeah.
So if there were a way to educate, homeowners or condo owners in these areas where, his association fee went from $750 to $1,350, almost a 100% increase. People might say, hey, maybe it's time to sell instead of trying to stick this out, because once these assessments are in place, is that gonna, are the people gonna say, oh my God, it's gonna be now structurally sound, I'm gonna pay more? Or are they gonna look at it and say, wow, that association fee cuts into my ability to buy, I might opt for something else, thus pushing the price down a little bit? And one of the benefits, one of the negatives, the same thing, is real estate prices are sticky. So when somebody goes to look to buy a property, they're usually looking at what are the comps, and the comps are done 3-6 months. The decision to buy was 3 to 6 months ago when they went under contract. So if you're in a community where the association fee is going to be going up a lot for a special assessment, we might want to say, you might want to be one of the first ones out before everybody else gets frustrated. Because if your association fee is going from $750 to $1,350, those of you in Florida, do you think that usually the estimates are accurate, or they're probably a little bit, they're going to have some overruns for unexpected things?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I was speaking to a seller yesterday for an agent, one of our agents, and she was questioning the additional fee, and maybe it's not the right time, and she's selling a condo. And I said to her, are you kidding me? You are so lucky to be selling now. You haven't been assessed yet, but it is coming. You know it's coming. I know it's coming. Take the money and run. So when we finished our conversation, she said, I'm so glad I talked to you. Yes, these are things that I had in the back of my mind, but now they're in the forefront. And yes, I'm really happy I'm selling this.
So, yeah, so these are things that, and honestly, marketing to a different area, I think is huge. I think maybe sharing with people where their peers who sold in, just taking an example, Plantation, like where do the people from Plantation, where do they buy when they sell? Are they buying in Miami? Are they buying in Fort Lauderdale? Or are they going north to Port St. Lucie? Where are they going? What's the reason? Sometimes, people move from Jersey down to Florida, maybe even going up further to Jacksonville would give you a little bit less extreme weather. You have a little bit of seasonality, and that might be a benefit to people.
I'm getting a lot of people calling me from North Carolina and Florida that moved from Jersey and said, Netta, we want to come back, but now we can't afford to come back because it's not what we expected. And I'm trying to get a straight answer from them as far as what were you expecting and what did you get? But they don't know either. They just know that they're not happy. So I'm trying to still get down to the bottom of that.
So for our Florida team, what percentage of us Northeasterners that come down there probably underestimated some of the implications of their move? Maybe like they have homesickness from being away from friends and family. Maybe they didn't anticipate the weather. The
Every
bagels.
hurricane season, we get people who get scared by the hoopla in the news.
They also don't anticipate that their taxes were predetermined at closing based upon not a full year. And so when they get their assessment for a full year, the following year, they're slapped with a 50% increase.
Right.
I think that's the most shocking that I always hear. And then the insurance.
Well, we should be
Yeah,
telling
pages
them
year
about
over
that.
year.
Now, I'm
Yeah.
going to throw something out there. Like every time I see somebody talking like on YouTube or you see them like promoting Florida, right? What they always say is only the good stuff, right?
Right.
Nobody ever says the real stuff. And I think if you had some way of introducing other areas, you know, and Florida has a lot of advantages, a lot of benefits. Some downsides are it's getting to be too expensive to buy for some people who are, especially the natives to Florida. Secondly, and I don't want to misquote this, but I think Florida has 7 or 8% of the country's population, and they have 70% or some insane number of lawsuits, litigation. Anybody ever hear that stat?
Oh, yes, we're the number one state in the country for litigation.
But I mean, like that to me,
Understand what that even means.
that means that there's too many lawyers in Florida.
Or people that are looking for money.
I want to piggyback on what Fazia said. The other conversation is the roof factor, which comes into play obviously with the insurance, right? We didn't have this conversation 5, 6, 7 years ago, that not so much anyway. But anytime I've got people looking at homes that, deduct $40,000 right off the top because they've got to replace the roof in 2 or 3 years. And, roofs aren't cheap here,
And they don't anticipate the HOA, Rob, the HOA, how do you call it, Dan? What do we call it? The HOA mafia, over here.
Yeah.
So, wow.
It's expensive to live here.
So,
I mean, it's
so
not cheap.
percentage of nationwide lawsuits, this is not even after the past few years. So Florida has about 80% of all the lawsuits against home insurance companies are in Florida.
And that's because of roofs and water damage. Those two sections of claims, roofs and water damage.
Roofs, water damage, and abundant attorneys, and sunny place for shady people.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have a
So-
huge section of public adjusters. I don't know if you guys have as many up there, but down here, you have to, most of the time, you have to get a public adjuster to help you fight your insurance company, because the insurance companies don't want to pay at all. And if you don't have an attorney or public adjuster on your side, unfortunately, the insurance companies push back and, reduce the cost. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but our fraud has caused it to be so bad. We have also the highest fraud rate in the country.
Yeah. So we don't promote that down there, do we, Scott?
No, we don't, but it's true.
True.
Big secret.
So I'm just going to ask a few New Jersey names. I see Paul. What percentage of people that retire from New Jersey you think are planning on staying in New Jersey?
Right now,
Yeah, like I just want your gut.
15 to 20% right now, I think.
You think 80 to 85% are going to move the state when they retire?
Yeah.
That's pretty aggressive. I don't know if you're able to talk. I see Tony Rosigliano. I see your name up there. Are you able to comment in on that?
Yes.
What do you think?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, I think it's higher than that. I think it's more like 45%.
Well, so you're saying lower. You were saying 85% are moving out
No, I
of the
would
state.
say, yeah, no, I would say 45% would be moving.
That
Lower.
yeah, lower.
Uh-huh,
So
okay.
I would think 80 to 85 is high. I think 40 to 45 is probably
Too low?
Yeah, 50. No, I think it's probably, you know, closer. You know, Ned is here saying 50. What do you think? Let's see. Who else? Denise, what do you think? Denise Solzer.
Where are they moving to? So if
Fran,
they're retiring-
Denise, Fran Blakely, Danielle, what do you think? What percentage of your people that are retiring in New Jersey are actually buying another home here or moving out of state?
I think at least about 35 to 40%.
35 to 40%.
I think
I would say 25 to 30%.
Yeah.
25 to
moving
Because I
30.
think the transition has changed where a lot of people that are retiring, there's a lot more families living together also, and maybe they're, you know, joining their income together to stay in the state with the family. And so I think 25 to 30.
something that I heard just last night, Rob, with a group of realtors from a variety of places, which was really fascinating. There seems to be a really big trend in Jersey for people selling their house, buying something out of state, south, and then renting in Jersey, to Fran's point, because they still want to have a place to come back to be around family. But they're looking, again, to maximize their incoming dollars. So they're finding creative ways to do it.
Right.
So Rob, here, I just looked up and in 2022, it shows here the top 10 outbound states of 2022, New Jersey, there was 67% of the residents moved outbound, which was down from a 5-year trend of 70%. So I just think that the cost of living here is pushing residents away. I also agree. I don't know who said it, like, you know, they're still keeping an apartment or something here in the area because they have family, but they are moving out, you know. I've met a lot of people that their kids have moved on. They have grandkids now. They have an apartment here, but they don't live in New Jersey anymore.
People are also realizing the cost of New Jersey going South Jersey is very similar to Florida, North Carolina, and south that way. You can do that.
So maybe when we, you know, have our communications to, you know, if we're targeting, you know, empty nesters, ones with, where people are considering retiring age, giving them options on where they can move, or even letting them know. I think people are curious, where are most people from, you know, my town, you know, where are most people from Scotch Plains, New Jersey moving to when they retire? You know, top 5 areas, top 10 areas.
North and South Carolina for sure.
I've heard that too. North and
Yeah, the Carolinas, a lot of people are moving to the Carolinas, north and south.
Let's compare the Carolinas to South Jersey.
Prices are going higher there too. I've had
I
some.
did. I personally went down to.
You know, I'm gonna think back to, I was out, this is going years ago. I was door knocking in Cranford, and you know, I went to this house, probably a 10-15-year-old house, very well kept. Knocked on the door, an elderly gentleman answered the door, and I'm like, I might hit the lottery. Said, hey, my name's Rob, how you doing? You know, he's like, oh, I'm doing great. I'm like, you know anyone thinking of moving out? He goes, definitely not me. I've got the best backyard in town, right? He starts talking like that. And we had like a 2 or 3 minute conversation that I come back to. Hey, Al, you know, when it does come time for you to move, where would you be going? He's like, Spartanburg, South Carolina. Did you know that I can pay a year's worth of taxes for less than I paid last? This is the same conversation, right? Then I paid last quarter, and I can get a brand new house for 200,000 less than this house. Well, no, but I'm like saying, like, you know, at first it's like that concept. And when you walk into a, you know, nobody walks into stores anymore. Can I help you? What do we all say? I'm just looking, right? So, but this person obviously had done research. He knew that he could buy new construction. He knew he could pay annual taxes for less than he paid the last quarter.
Third account, they're meant to be closing.
Let me, you know,
They charged me a fee today. They hit me with a $5 fee.
So I think that is, you know, well, but I think that, you know, sometimes people don't know what to do, and our job is to educate them on, you know, what their options are. You know, things are different than they were 10 years ago, where people used to try to maybe downsize locally. And, you know, I can't remember the last time that we saw somebody sell a house here in Westfield and move to Mountainside, which was, that was a big move, right? That would happen all the time before. So I just muted everybody. If you want to talk, just unmute. So let's think outside the box. Let's, you know, maybe pick one or two pillars if you're an individual agent, or if you're running a team. Let's add a few divisions to your book of business and figure out, you know, how we can, you know, measure and grow with those things. To recap, you know, divorce. How many on this call have ever actively pursued divorces through like a divorce attorney, or intentionally went after that segment of the business?
I do, Rob.
Who's that?
Glenn.
Okay, Glenn. So Glenn does. We have 51 people still on, and we have a half a dozen people here in person.
I think we just lost Rob.
Yeah.
Well, while we're waiting, I know I like the idea of having a divorce attorney. A lot of times them being attorneys, they already have people in their pockets that they work with. So it's just kind of like getting past the gatekeeper to get somebody on your side, but it's a great idea.
Yeah, I know. I was calling a lot of the divorce attorneys, and they were saying the same thing. Is that if we were gonna give you a deal, we only deal with agents that give us business. So it's pretty hard, but you still have to mail to them. You still have to call them, because it's a numbers game too.
It's you know, not a game you can't win. You just gotta, you know, dedicate, and like you said, you know, if you can give them business, if that's possible, they'll reciprocate.
Work smart, not hard.
I want to ask, Glenn, can I ask you a question, or anyone that's on that side of New Jersey? When you're dealing with anyone that you have your listing for them, do you track, because I know you have a CRM, do you track where they're going and then see if there's a trend in areas that they're going that we have, you know, our offices at? Does anybody do that on that side as far as teams?
I track where everyone goes. I don't track where they relate to the offices, though. But I refer if it's near an office. Like, I know where they're going, so I make sure that I get a referral based on it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I do too. I try and get a referral. So I do look up the area, but I don't really track the whole thing.
I just closed a deal with an agent from our Florida office, Marco, in Pompano.
Marco Mello, yes.
Carmelo.
Yeah.
So I always try to, my Florida people find somebody within our organization.
Guys, I was just reading, so 5 of the best top 20 places to retire are all named from Forbes, US News, Travel and Leisure, from our markets on the West Coast, from Naples to Tampa. You have Naples, Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Sarasota, and Tampa are 5 of the places. Yes, North and South Carolina and other places that we've mentioned are on the list, but 5 of them out of 20 are on the West Coast of Florida, Naples to Tampa.
And then I'm going to drop one other idea here before we wrap up. Is I was working with 2 agents to try to pilot oh shoot. Now that I'm back on, I'm not sharing. Let me see. So I did some research on. Let's get back on so I can share here.
Yeah, I think Colleen became the host when you got knocked off.
Colleen, are you the host?
I don't think so.
Somebody
kicked over. They kicked over.
Said you were.
Yeah.
Is Colleen the host? Can you transfer that to me? I think you just go to participants and yeah, Colleen, you're the host. If you can make me the host.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I see. Yeah.
So what I did is I was looking at areas in Bergen County, and I looked at 3 counties with Ryan Cooper, who wants to spend some of his marketing budget on mailing. And I found that the turnover rate was significantly different in the 3 areas that he was looking to market in. And, you know, I looked at home ownership percentage, like what percentage are owned, what percentage are rented, how many residential addresses there were in the community, and then how many sales there were, because that's going to give us an idea of what the turnover rate was. And I found turnover rates as low as 3.8 and as high as almost 6.5. So if your turnover rate is virtually double, I think that's something that should influence where we're doing the marketing. And I also looked for dominant agents so that he could be aware of, hey, if I'm going into this particular market, this agent is somebody I'm gonna have to deal with. And
Hey,
here's the
quick question for you. Don't mean to interrupt, but your stats on that, I love it. When I look at a neighborhood, I'm trying to figure out turnover. I have to do it manually, where I look at how many homes sold in the past year compared to how many in development. Is there someplace else you're looking to get those numbers quicker? Is there some program or something I don't know about?
So in New Jersey, I have real estate stats and files. You can run the total sales in a particular zip code or town through our subscription there as well, correct?
Correct. Mhm.
So what I
Do you have
did is,
anything like that here? Does anyone know that?
Yes, so
Yeah.
on your platform, I'll show you, Scott, on your platform on beaches, you can.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
so this is an example of one particular town and zip code, and I pulled up the number of residential addresses in that postal route. I did the cost of the mailing, the average sales price is something that by street or community, I'm going to have the agent go ahead and do, but it would give us an idea. And this one had a 4.25% turnover rate. Okay, with a higher average sale price than kind of the vicinity, and it is a larger town with about 12 different postal routes. So you can get pretty creative, and there's going to be some pretty big distinctions between towns for sure. Up in, let me go to, I saw Bergen County up.
Rob, I have a question. Can you do this based on postal route?
Yeah, you can, just give me a second to do this. So up here in Bergen County, I went through, we looked at Rochelle Park, we looked at Ridgefield Park, and we looked at Pagoda. And interestingly enough, like Pagoda and Rochelle Park were very similar in size of residential households. There was a 10% difference in ownership, which I found off the census. You just Google Rochelle Park, New Jersey census, it will tell you what percentage of them are homeowners. Can even share that with you here, I think. Yeah, here. So here's one where I looked at, here's the number of households versus the number of, and you can see the number of mailing addresses from all of the Every Door Direct Mail. It tells you the ownership percentage, right? Owner occupied 80.4%, which I think is a plus. You want to find owners, and a lot of the non-owner occupied is multi-unit dwellings, which is a different game. So you can get some pretty valuable data about a area to market by going to 3 or 4 different places.
Is there a reliable website anyone trusts for schools? I like to go to towns where the schools have kind of gone downhill just a little bit, and with the pandemic, a lot of that has happened because of the kids being stuck at home. Like Springfield, it's going a little downhill with the schools, so people are leaving because of that. They want to go to a better school system. I don't know if anyone relies on
That's-
school bigger.
That's everywhere, even in South Florida. It's across the country. I read some stats that all the schools, COVID and staying home and the homeschooling affected kids across the country.
Right, but there has to be some, like, I mean, there's, even if the scores have gone down, Scott, like the number one school is still the number one school, even if the output's not the same as it was the year before, right?
That's
And
correct. Yeah.
I think you're talking about relatively speaking, right? Now, like Springfield used to be number 29 in the state. Now it's number 84, right? Like those are things that, you know, are significant. And I guess you got to be careful how you play that, right? You don't want to say, hey, your town stinks, let's get the hell out.
Knowledge, you would, farm that area. You're not gonna say that, but people are gonna want to move. I mean, you're gonna look at, is there a way to see if the households have kids in grammar school? Because I know in Linden, New Jersey, for example, people move there up to grammar school. Before they get to high school, they move because the high school is not good.
Right. So what schools, where do you look for your school data? You said
School digger. but
School digger?
Better.
Scott, do you have a resource for schools?
Down here, we actually have Great Schools is what we have, like 3 different sites that grade our schools. So you can go, one is by the parents, one is by the actual Broward County School Board and the testing scores. And then the third, what's the third one? We're looking it up right now. Give me 1 second, I can tell you, but there's like 3 different rating systems.
Niche.
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 NICHE is the third one.
Yes. Those private schools.
That one does private schools.
Everything.
Yeah, it's everything.
So where does Zillow put the school, get the school report from?
Great Schools, which is the one that the parents grade.
They use Great Schools, okay. So look, I hope that, you know, if you're a team, you can compartmentalize things into some different divisions and don't try to do everything. Try to, you know, focus and measure on, you know, 1 or 2 divisions that you're going to utilize. And if you're an individual, you know, unless you have dual personality, I don't think you're going to call it a division, but maybe it'll be like a different pillar to your business, right? So you can look at where am I expecting to get my business from? How much time am I going to invest? How much money am I going to invest? And then what's the return that we're looking for? Okay. You know, having you know, 23% of homes with no mortgage and almost 50% with 50% equity. If you're targeting people to downsize, that should have no relevance to them. And I think that their opinion on making a move is clouded by their neighbors who might have a mortgage, or they might not be thinking it through. I think, how many times do you come across a scenario where, you know, somebody has this objection? It's because they haven't thought it through. Oh yeah, mortgage rates are high, you know, nobody's moving. I'm sorry, but you have no mortgage. So you this is an opportunity for you, right? So I hope that this was helpful. And you did the trees to seize.
Oh, that's great.
That's our new division.
Oh, is it good?
I think so, right, Colleen? That's the winner.
Oh, I love it. Trees to seas, perfect.
Nice. And
All
maybe
right.
we can spell it TREAS to SBES. Oh, that's a little out there.
Yeah. They'll be like, they can't spell.
No. SEIC. Just so they could double take.
All right. Any other last minute questions before we all have an uber productive weekend? All right. Well, I appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And this was great. I learned a few things, took some good notes. Take care, everybody.
This was a fun session, very enjoyable and educational.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Rob.